Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Mark again here, Weatherman Plus. I got your latest tropical update on what's going on with Hurricane Beryl. Thank you so much for all the nice comments down below. I did see them and all the likes. I appreciate you helping getting that information to a lot of people. You did relieve a lot of people's anxiety. You should read the comments. I really appreciate what y'all did. Latest information shows that it is starting to go a little bit further to the north. It did show previous run way down here was the middle of the cone. Now the middle of the cone is starting to go right over that little notch. And that's very important because that notch right there, from where it's at now, is the longest point of traveling over land. And that would weaken it the most. And if it keeps going towards the northern side of this cone, it would be a short path and it would be able to hold on to its core and stay strong. Now, I have a trend for you as well going on with the hurricane models, the Euro and the GFS. The icon is still the only model showing that wind shear does not play a factor in the tropics, and it don't do anything to that weather model, and it's literally showing a Cat 4 going towards Houston. Now, I will show it to you, but I do not agree with that path. I know it's possible. Being from the Gulf, number one rule you learn is do not turn your back on the tropics ever as soon as it's in the Gulf, because you'll literally go to bed a tropical storm and wake up a major hurricane. I've seen it so many times. But now it's running into where it has two different sections. It's either going to peel off to the right or it's going to peel off to the left. That's the last 2 points that we have of what's going on with this storm, and it's trending to the left. Now, the latest shot with Beryl, you can see right here on the radar, it is still getting all that strong shear still coming in from the southern side, but it is keeping the core intact. All the way around, still has its center, and that's what we needed to lose to make sure that this weakens. If this holds like this, if you see this and you keep following it and you see this when it comes off of the Yucatan, then you can say we literally have a problem. The trend is this is going to weaken greatly because of land interaction and shear. The shear value has gone up into the high 30s, even hit 40s sometime. Now, real quick, we have Tropical Storm Aletta in the Eastern Pacific. It's not going too far. It's going northwest, and then it's going to go west and southwest and just go away. The latest update with Beryl is still seeing that northern budge. It is going west-northwest, not west, at 20 miles per hour. It's picked up speed a little bit. It was 18. Still holding on to 110 miles per hour winds. Now, if it's going west-northwest, it's still starting to take that northern chop. We expected this to go west, and it's starting to move a little bit further to the north. At the same time, you can see the National Hurricane Center is agreeing that it's going to come off a tropical storm. It is going to weaken from land interaction and stay a tropical storm for a couple of days, combating the shear. It's going to go up and down, up and down. And when it goes up and down like that, that's why you get that wobble. The shear goes away, it goes northern, the shear comes back, it goes back west, goes northern when it goes away. It just gets that wobble like that. Showing it will eventually let go, like we've been seeing a trend, western Gulf of Mexico, and maybe go all the way up towards a hurricane, maybe even stronger. If I'm seeing a hurricane potentially, I'm seeing probably a Cat 2. I know the Gulf, I know it will intensify. It always does right before landfall. But still, at this point, it would be too far to do anything. It would be too far to intensify any further and turn and hurt even more people than it's already going to impact. Now, you can see where it's going to be at by the time you go through Sunday morning. And if it starts taking that northern track, a little bit further northern, coming off way early, it would be what that icon is seeing, and it would turn just like that and just intensify by those warmer waters I showed you earlier all along the Gulf Coast. However, that is not the trend that's been going on all day long. It's still moving a little bit northern. You can see it, look, right over the notch. It was down here, I will show you. So it is moving further north, but it's still showing it's going to go right for northern Mexico, maybe even right at southern Texas. That's what we got to watch for, because right here on this line, being a little bit further to the east, gives it more time to intensify. Still showing this storm will go anywhere into this direction and possibly even that direction. And if it takes this direction, we all know it will be stronger than forecasted, just like it's been for the whole life of Beryl. So when you take a look at a previous forecast of Beryl, you see how it went over in this direction. And as you keep going and see what the latest updates were, look how it kept nudging further towards the north. a little bit further of a northern nudge than it was on that western nudge. And that makes all the difference. The closer it gets towards that trough, the more it's going to pull it north. And you can see this here. So you have your latest watches and warnings that are out. But at the same time, you can see that direction it is going on. And if it keeps going west, northwest, instead of straightening it up back to the west, it's going to end up coming off a higher point, and it's going to be northern on that cone. Also showing your probabilities of chances for a hurricane. You see how it starts strengthening up, and then it goes towards landfall. It holds its own a little bit, and that's what it's doing. And then maybe as it comes off the Yucatan, has a chance to strengthen up as it goes halfway across. Initially, it's going to get hit. The core is not intact. Shear's going to mess with it, but eventually it gets itself together, but it's running out of time. Then when you look on the next update, you can see it goes up to a 50 to 60% chance of intensification. This would be rapid intensification, chance for a hurricane to form up. And when you go for another day, when you go from Monday into Tuesday, it stays in that same spot and grows. And as you go into Wednesday, still got that opportunity. So showing 3 days chances of right here for something to spin up as a hurricane. Now remember, in the past, we did see that stall effect. Really don't want to see that neither. But for 3 days, chances for a hurricane right here, 50%. You can also see on the latest graphics that after it comes off the Yucatan in 72 hours, it has a chance to be a tropical storm more than likely, maybe even a Cat 1 hurricane. Also showing when you go from 3 days to 4 days, it won't have enough time to intensify before it goes on land, stays a tropical storm for another day or so, then a tropical depression. All this would bring a lot of rainfall towards Texas. I know you need it, so this would be what you wish. I know no one wants a hurricane over there. All you wish is for maybe a weak tropical storm or a tropical depression to bring y'all rainfall, and that's what this is looking like right here. New information came in from Tropical Cyclone Forecast showing in 24 hours being over the Yucatan. They agree. Also showing in 48 hours, more likely be right here in this section, other than one other that agrees. And also showing it agrees it will be somewhere around this region. So you can see the path that is trending with where this is going to go. So when you go see what the other ones see, you can see what the Canadian shows same spot, more likely will be right there. When you go with the Euro, you can see the same thing with the Euro, averaging a little bit more to the south. And this is what's forecasted to strengthen up to a hurricane, then quickly down to a tropical depression. You can see the intensities over here on the right side. However, this black right here is your average of the ensembles. Just like with Jamaica, if there's any landfall, we will not know if it is on a northern wobble or a southern wobble when it comes off of the Yucatan. So we still need to wait for that. Until then, all we can do is assess the updates. And you can see with the GFS showing the exact same thing. Landfall might be a little bit further to the east of that. Instead of being right below it, it could turn at the last second and be right here off the east coast. Now, if that was to happen, keep in mind, these systems will be north and east side loaded. So it'd be a little better over here for the southwestern side of Texas, still going to the Rio Grande, but showing it would be a little bit more impacts on the eastern side of the system as it came on shore. So I want to show you a little bit of information. This is by the Euro. As it gets off the Yucatan, shows that it will be weaker, but then it'll start strengthening back up. But you can also see that it's starting to get the wind shear, the 38 knot winds, and is getting a lot of the winds pushing more towards that west, southwest. That right there is equal to 50. So you have an over 30 to 50 knot winds pushing to the southwest. And as you keep going, you see it starts intensifying, but then it weakens back down again. It's still fighting, battling with the shear, showing 40 knot winds, showing a lot of winds on the western side of that storm, and then it weakens down again because of the shear. So you get it to strengthen, then you get it to weaken, then you get it to strengthen when it's close to shore, and look how it stays on that strengthening mode right when it's going towards shore. Same location, not showing any great or major turn on it. That has been the path for quite some time. Now, the icon model shows that it comes right off the Yucatan and immediately, regardless of any shear, never weakens one bit. It just stays on intensification and goes right towards Texas as a strong Cat 4 major hurricane. This is the only model that is showing it. It's not trending. I'm sure you'll see this tonight. Please, even though we're in the Gulf and we know how this could happen so fast, this is not the atmosphere that we're seeing out there for this system. If this was to play out, it would affect more than just Texas as it goes up towards Louisiana, Arkansas, the Tennessee, Kentucky Valley, and still going through the Northeast. Potentially getting a shortwave trough, maybe heightening it just a little bit more again. But just because we're seeing that in the model data, potentially that could happen out of one out of all of them. I'm not going to base my video on that. You can see right here with the hurricane model, it's agreeing it's losing the southern side of its eye as it gets closer towards the Yucatan, and it's going to lose the southern side of its eye. Then it's going to be degraded by the shear and landfall, showing right below it right there. Very weak system. Coming offshore, agreeing it's going to have a problem getting its core together. Not enough time because the easterly winds pushing to the west. And right before landfall, starting to get its center again, and it's already too late. Now you can see the trend. You can see what hurricane analysis forecast system B. You can see the core of the eye, predicting that it will lose that core of the eye because of all that shear as it gets closer. Maybe barely holding on, but look as it hits land. Loses it immediately. Very weak, coming off the very same location as hurricane analysis forecast system A, and takes the same westward track. Tries to get together a little bit better, a little bit sooner. Still takes that westward track. Now you got to imagine, even though that one model shows that, these models are made for hurricanes. These are the newer models they brought out last year. These models was the only ones correct about Beryl when it went towards the Windward Islands, when the rest of them was seeing other outcomes. Matter of fact, I even brought out the ensemble control member of the Euro. And you can see after it goes on the Yucatan, showing just like the hurricane models, coming off a little bit more southern, not that northern push. And it still goes right to the west as a hurricane. Same exact trend we're seeing on all of them. Showing rainfall amounts. You can see with the Euro as it goes across the Yucatan. A little bit northern, but the eye is going to be right below that. As it goes towards Mexico and towards southern Texas, this is where a lot of the heavy rainfall is coming. All it can go is the next 10 days. It's not going to be this heavy, but you can see where it's kind of spreading, where this precipitation could go towards. You can see the same thing with the GFS, a little bit further to the north. Keep in mind, the center would be right here for all this to be up here, and then take that track like this right towards San Antonio. If you want to try and add a few more days, it's hard to guess where it's at. All I can do is 5 more days. And then once again, the icon, which is still lonely all by itself, seeing that Cat 4 going right towards Houston, right towards Corpus Christi, Victoria. Just not believable at this point. I'm in the Gulf of Mexico myself my whole life. I believe in these rapid intensifications. Even when the weatherman said it's not going to intensify, I knew it was going to intensify. So I am keeping my eye open for this to intensify. I'm still keeping in factors of the wind shear and where it comes off the Yucatan. Just like before with Jamaica, we won't know 100% until it gets off the Yucatan. Once we get to the Yucatan and gets off land, we will have some of our final cones coming out from National Hurricane Center, because we will have a designated low pressure and where it's going with no further land interaction in the way. You can also see with the winds with the Euro. So as you pick this up, you can take a look and you have a strengthening going on here. Then you have a weakening from wind shear, a strengthening, a weakening, a strengthening. You see the pattern, a weakening, and then intensification right before landfall. So you can see the pattern because of what's going on with the wind shear. Now, when you look at the GFS, you can see almost the same thing. That would put that system right about here, bringing the winds on the eastern side. Now, once again, the icon showing that Cat 4 going right towards y'all, bringing this big money shot. I do not believe this is the outcome. I believe this outcome many times in the Gulf of Mexico. If I start seeing hints of this, believe me, I will tell you. Whether it's good news or bad news, I give it to you straightforward. Thank you for your time, everybody. I appreciate every single one of y'all. Please help share this video to other people. Let them see what the trend is going on, because seeing that shot with the icon, I know it's going to be everywhere, and that is not what's trending. Don't you think the Euro, a very well-respected model, you have to pay to actually use? would see something like that. Even the hurricane models would pick up on that. Even GFS, which over exaggerates and is known for that a lot, would pick up on that. They're all picking up on the opposite of that, everybody. Now, before I go, Psalm 16, 8 through 11. I have set the Lord always before me. Because he is at my right hand, I shall not be moved. Therefore my heart is glad, and my glory rejoiceth. My flesh also shall rest in hope. For thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, neither wilt thou suffer thine Holy One to see corruption. Thou wilt show me the path of life. In thy presence is fullness of joy. At thy right hand there are pleasures forevermore. Amen. Have a great night, everybody. I will keep my eyes on the tropics. I know how the Gulf of Mexico is, just like any other. But I also know to follow the trend, everyone. And the trend is seeing that the shear will keep it at bay. It will try and strengthen. I think it will get a little stronger than forecasted. But I don't see no big Cat 4 coming towards Texas like that. Believe me, I would tell you whether it's good or bad. All glory always goes to God our Father, Yahweh. Remember his name. A lot of people say that they believe in God, but they don't tell you which God they are talking about. Everybody has their own God, and some people it's themselves. My God is Yahweh, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. I pray he always keeps us safe every single day of our life and forever. Amen. Hallelujah. Forever. I'll see you all in the morning. Have a great night and enjoy the fireworks if you're celebrating.